Good evening from Belgrade. We have Dmitry Andreikin and Giri with us, who just finished their second game of the semi-final. As the previous game, this one ended in a draw as well. In this case, Dmitry was white and Giri was black. So, Dmitry, do you want to start us off?
Okay.
What's your comment on the game?
I prefer FIDE B3. It's a rare move, not innovative, of course. For example, Kramnik won a game against Grishuk in Candidates tournament in 2016. Maybe I forgot a line because after knight b1, Anish played knight e4, very strong move, and position is acquired immediately. Maybe Kramnik played rook c2 for first, and next move queen a1, and after it, knight b1, knight c3. I analyzed this position some times ago, and this is a little bit better for white, but anyway, all pieces on board, and it is very interesting tension position. I want to fight today, but okay, in the game I didn't want to change the queens, but I didn't have a choice, because if I not play e4, black can play d6, d5, and structure, pawn structure is immediately drawish. So after e4, white have a small advantage. I think it is space advantage, but no, okay, really it is drawish in game. I thought I'd play a smart, provocated to Anish to play b5, because in structure when I have two pawn A and B against A, maybe if I can change rooks, one pair rooks, it will be better for white, will real chances, but in the game black had some initiative, and okay, it's a logical repetition, because if I change a knight immediately, black bishop stay on d5, maybe it is better for black already.
Okay, so you had no choice then there. Anish, from your perspective.
Yeah, I was Vladimir Kramnik second at the time, and yes, tortured in this position. So I had to look at it a lot with him. It was a very interesting experience. But yeah, the way the game happened, we traded a lot of pieces, which should normally be good for black. At least it depends how, depends of course. But I thought, to be honest, I was ambitious very early on already, like a little ambitious. I thought I felt that the way he traded allows me this queen g5 at some point, provoking a weakness, and I thought I could be on a good side of equality already, because I do think if I get the b5 break in the right version, I could be on a good side of equality, and maybe not. I just felt that, and then I was kind of also happy with the b5, because I didn't see the danger the way Dmitry describes it. Of course, there is outside passing, but I just thought quite the opposite, that let's say my one pawn controls the two, it's very far from pushing b4, and in the meantime I will have 4 against 3 on the king side, and we'll have a little plus. But of course, I guess probably it is just completely equal all the way, probably. Though, to be honest, I felt when knight was on b2 that somehow, I don't know, maybe I was too optimistic, but I thought black maybe has some small edge, but maybe not at all, I don't know. In any case, I thought it was comfortable for black, and I thought the safety margin is very big, because in these positions where, like, if white gets everything he wants, with the Marossi, it basically comes from Marossi structures from the, and it's like there are such positions, and even if white gets everything, as far as I know, it should be okay for black, like slightly worse only. And I had like a very good version because he was not yet consolidated. So I thought that like I should be very fine. But okay, I'll have to analyze. Very, like, you know, when it's so close to equality, it's very hard to say who is on the good side, because I think it's very close to equality.
But obviously 2 games, 2 draws, very touchy moment, very important, very high stakes. How are you both feeling about tomorrow? How will you approach the... Obviously tomorrow is going to be a different tempo. You're going to play 2 rapid games, and after that, if it's still equal, 2 blitz games, and then Armageddon. How are you feeling about tomorrow? Dmitry, do you want to start?
Great feeling. I hope it will be interesting, funny, and maybe Anish a small favorite now, because he had too many practice last time. Yes, in Magnus Carlsen series, it's very important. But okay, I will try to show my best and normal sleep, a little bit prepare, some walking.
What about you? Anish, how will you?
Yeah, I think match was very interesting so far. Yesterday, both of us had chances. I had bigger plus objectively, but at the same time, also he had opportunity in the end game. As I checked later, there were some things I missed in the end game where actually Black can really press. So yeah, that was a very interesting game. Today was a bit more quiet. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the tiebreak. I think Dmitrios. He once went to the final of the World Cup after winning all the tiebreaks, and I would think I'm actually an underdog. But as Dmitry mentioned, I already played a lot of practice in the Magnus Tour, and I think my rapid improved. So I think now, I think I should be able to give a good fight, and it's going to be interesting. Of course, it will be decided by each game is different.
Of course, and then by the moment. And let me say, before both you mentioned the favorite and the underdog. Generally, would you rather be considered? I'm not talking about tomorrow, but in general, when you play, would you rather be considered as the favorite or the underdog? Which is more comfortable for you? Anish?
I think it depends on my general feeling and general state of mind. Because when I'm in a pessimistic state of mind, I feel that both are bad. When I'm an underdog, I feel pressure because I face someone who is allegedly better. And when I'm a favorite, I feel a lot of pressure because I feel I have to win. And if I don't, what will everyone say? So when I feel like uncomfortable in general, then these two things bother me. But when I feel good, then I don't care about either. When I'm underdog, I think, okay, there's only something to win. And when I'm a favorite, I think that, looks good because I'm
only
a favorite.
Something to confirm.
Yeah, so I think it's more like a general state of mind. For me, it's not about underdog or favorite. No.
For you, Dmitry, would you rather be, are you more comfortable as an underdog or as favorite?
For me, maybe to be underdog a little bit comfortable. Really, it's not very important, but maybe because, for example, in last World Cup, I lose in rapid games against Evgenij,
Our local player, yeah.
Grandmaster, for example. So, okay, it's not very important. No.
Well, thank you both, and good luck then tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So welcome everybody to our first tiebreak of this Grand Prix leg here in Belgrade. Yesterday we had classical portion actually has finished. Classical semi-final portion has finished, and we have one finalist decided. It's Richard Rapport, who won his classical mini match against Vachier Lagrave. And today we'll be watching a tiebreak between Anish Giri and Dmitry Andreikin, who have drawn their both games in classical, and today they will be playing rapid and potentially blitz.
Yeah, so that's once again, that's not only the first tiebreak for this tournament, but I believe it's a first tiebreak for you as the commentator, right?
Yeah, that's what
So,
sure, yes.
Okay, let's see how it goes. And one more time, I encourage our viewers that, yes, people, I mean, when you watch chess, kind of try to watch at least a bit of a broadcast or, listen to some commentary, because when you check results later on, like yesterday, one could say it was a boring day, 2 draws. I mean, but just recheck this game, Rapport versus, or MVL versus Rapport, and you'll understand it was anything but boring. Yes, so Rapid, it was still, I'm still excited from this game yesterday.
Yeah.
Right, for Andreikin and Giri, we've talked a little about their chances, right? And perhaps, I don't know if agreed, but I came up with this idea that perhaps Giri is a slight favorite in Rapid, and Andreikin, if we go to Blitz, quite possibly is the favorite in Blitz. But after all, and this is what I invented this long time ago, being a captain of Turkish team. Like whenever we would beat some favorites, I would say, guys, I mean, it's very simple. It's 4 grandmasters against 4 grandmasters, right? Like the team event. And here, it's a grandmaster against grandmaster.
Yeah.
So do not pay too much attention to rating.
Of course.
It's only 2 games. It basically might be decided with 1 move.
Yeah, anything can happen, right?
Okay, so I believe players are on the stage, right? We are still waiting for PGN to update so that we'd be able to show what they are playing. First time control, so what's Tiebreak itself, right? It starts with the rapid games, 15 minutes plus 10 seconds, only 2 games.
Yes.
And then if it's 1-1, we'll progress to Blitz, we'll progress to eventually. So it's not more than 5 games, right? The last game, the Armageddon, we'll talk in detail if it happens.
Yeah, and actually sometimes in these events, Blitz can be longer than it is now, right? Sometimes it's 5 minutes plus something, but here it's 3 plus 2. It's also important because it's a difference actually between 5 and 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So
okay, let me check.
They still haven't started.
So they did not update the PGNs still.
But they have started the game.
The game has started. Okay, so I mean, I don't know what we do now. We probably follow it from, from the camera view, waiting for the technicians to figure out how to update the PGN, because I do have yesterday's classical games and no PGN of today's rapid. Okay, so as far as I can see, that's
in Italian, right?
Or I think started as what you call it, bishop's opening. So when you play
bishop c4.
second move, bishop c4, right? Well, kind of avoiding some stuff, but very often you'd be able to transfer to Italian, or maybe if Giri plays c6, that's another story. Okay. So Andreikin's white in the first game. One more time. Let me see. No, I don't have it. Not that we can see.
Okay, now we can see it closer at least.
So it's not okay. It started as bishop c4. And now it switched to what do you call a Vienna game. It is, okay, great. Now we have it. So we can discuss it in great detail. So bishop c4, knight f6, d3. Yeah, and here I can't really explain in too much detail because it's rapid, and so on. Yeah, so 2 moves basically. It's c6 or knight c6, and it's second of those was played, knight c6. Now knight f3 obviously transposes to, I don't know, 2 knights with d3 or gioco piano Italian. Yeah, but white chose a different approach, knight to c3. Bishop b4 is one of the moves. The other one would be knight a5.
All right.
Knight a5, swapping the bishop. White can play bishop b3, can go knight e2 simply. Right, black goes bishop b4. After knight e2,
d5.
black uses the fact that the knight's pinned, goes d5, c takes, knight takes, castle's short, and bishop to e6. Okay, let's see how this works.
Yeah, there are some f4 ideas here.
Yeah. I wonder how exactly it works. I think it actually is kind of a critical move. And the point here is that if you take, I mean, white can take on f4 immediately, but I think bishop d5 is considered to be kind of strong. Bishop d5. Now white takes on f4, right? You can't really play bishop e6 because white will just take. Yeah, so you're apparently forced to take on c3, bc3, and black is in trouble, I believe, in this specific version.
Yeah, probably castle, Queen H5.
Queen H5, yeah, and like all of the white pieces are suddenly very active, right? Queen H5, I mean, you have basically squares for all the pieces. Rook B1, yeah, if needed, some C4, Bishop B2 in some positions. So it's very easy to play with white, and also like white's initiative develops pretty fast. Andreikin is thinking he does take on D5 immediately with the bishop.
So probably bishop D5.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that's the point. An F4 played and F6 played by Anish Giri quickly. So Anish is actually ready for this scenario. He is actually ready for this scenario. We could try to figure out an immediate F4. Maybe there is something with like taking on C3. So the queen's attacked, you can take on E6. And originally I thought I'd take this one. After bishop C4, take C-B4. But there is bishop C5 intermediate, right? And then I'm pushed here, and then you take, and I have to have this kind of a pawn structure, which I'm not a big fan of. Yeah. Right, but then the difference is that after F4, F6, white would have extra options of going F5 and stuff, right? In the game, after bishop takes, F4, F6, it's not that easy. Not that easy. I mean, apparently you should try to take, I'm guessing, and then, don't know, knight F4 and so on. But black will be very solid, right? The bishop might return to F7 later on.
There are some ideas to maybe push F5 and then put knight on E4, but how realistic is it?
Yeah, this, and then how do we make it work for white? I mean, first let's illustrate how does it. I don't know, black goes bishop F7, right, and then you play this knight to E4, and then black very kindly castles, and then you go maybe knight G3, right, or even G4, knight G3 sometimes. And yeah, that's a very good knight on E4, and interestingly, black bishop, the dark square bishop, is not doing all that much. Even if you put it on B6, it stays on open diagonal, but it kind of cannot really participate in the game.
Anyway, he took on F5.
Yeah, he took on E5, knight takes E5 was played. Now the question is, do you capture this guy? You probably do, I'm guessing.
Knight F4, there's bishop C6, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm unhappy with. Like he goes bishop C6, this check doesn't do anything because G6, right?
Right, yeah.
It's interesting that how do we blunder this one? I mean, I wanted to highlight some funny tactic, but apparently it doesn't work no matter what. Yeah. Okay. I mean that's nonsense. Obviously, just to mention Queen H5, G6, Knight G6, and then when you take, I mean, probably you have Queen D4 intermediate and it doesn't work for me. But when you take Queen B5, I just thought it's a funny, funny geometrical motif. Because you stop right here, usually like Knight G6, finished. But there is this Queen B5. It doesn't work. Yeah, like Queen D4 or something. But anyway, I think the right move would be to take on D5 because the bishop is a powerful piece in such position. This light square bishop. So let's assume takes here.
Sorry, maybe instead of taking, it's possible to go knight F4 and then D4. Is that ever?
Yeah, this could be an option. And you are actually asking a serious question, like where this knight's going.
Maybe bishop is not going to C6 after all.
Yeah, maybe bishop is not going to sit because after D4, the knight is kind of threatened for real. Knight F7, knight E6 is really painful because G7 is hanging. Knight G6, still there is like check knight E6. There is quite possibly even like Queen H5, Queen D4, King H1. Yes, it does look like a serious initiative. The other thing is, Teodora, that maybe he'll just take on C3, BC3, and castle. Maybe that's what black's planning to do. So kind of saying, yeah, I don't care about this bishop all that much. I don't want your knight on E6. We'll see. Andreikin actually does capture on D5 first. So he traded here and he went knight f4. In a way, you may argue about the same ideas, like go d4, go c3, go rook e1, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not simple.
Maybe he has to
give a check,
check,
right? But then king goes. And still you can't castle because knight e6, doesn't matter what castle black is playing, right?
And c3 is also a threat.
And c3 is also a threat, yeah. I mean, you would expect Giri to play a move very fast because, I mean, it looked like it was his preparation. Nice. Could it be some queen c6, d4 castles long? I don't know. Still not very convincing. I mean, black is kind of superbly developed and everything, but I'm afraid at one point he will have to move the knight back. I think white is supposed to go c3 because also there is kind of cheapo rook takes d4, bishop c5, right? So it said go c3. Now if black, I mean, just to illustrate, if black doesn't do anything, like says, okay, you're, I know, but this is hanging, black cannot do this. Bishop a5 maybe, because bishop d6. Oh, well, technically bishop d6 is also a possible move. If I take, it's a check, right?
Ah, right, right.
But yeah, but then I move the queen somewhere, even like c2. Or, and then check on f5,
yeah.
Or queen h5 maybe, yeah, queen h5. It feels like white might be up to have some maybe I'm overestimating once again, some knight c4, not letting to develop the bishop. It's a tricky position. I would be optimistic with white, but who knows. Queen to d7. It's sort of the same. d4 you can still castle,
right.
And even though it's a queen on d7, you still have kind of two pieces aligned against the d file, so it will be still a pin. Let's see what Andreikin does.
He can also play c3 first and try to see where the bishop goes.
d3 is protected, so c3 and maybe queen b3, who knows, at some point. Anish apparently is familiar with the entire line. So one more time, it looks like Anish is sort of overall better prepared in the opening, right? So the more original, the more offbeat the position gets right from the start. It probably favors Andreikin. Speculate like this, yeah.
But he's spending a lot of time on Andreikin, actually. There is already a big difference.
Yeah, and I probably tell it every tiebreak I'm commentating, you know. It's not only, okay, 15 minutes is less than 1.5 hours. That's obvious, right?
Right.
But yeah, people tend to adjust to it and still you know some opening and the quality does not dramatically drop the quality of playing.
Yeah.
So the challenging part is when you get to play on increment and you use the specific rhythm, like you've played the move, you have 30 seconds, you've played the move, you have 30 seconds, and then it's 10. So one tends to panic, and especially when you're switching from rapid to blitz.
Yeah, it's...
that's much harder, yeah. So unless you specifically train every discipline, which some people do nowadays, right?
No, but do you think they put some sort of limit to themselves? Let's say, I should not drop under 2 minutes. Do you think they put such limits?
I don't know. I think that's a good advice for someone who has, you know,
time trouble
issues. Like for a classical game, I mean, some people asking me and like how to solve. I don't know. I mean, I cannot help you solve the issue, right? But kind of a hint how to do it. It's like imagine you have 120 instead of 130. So basically, you have to make decisions quickly when it's 10 minutes left. And then you have this as a kind of a booster if the position is too complex. Right. So for this kind of time control, maybe like a couple of minutes is your X mark after which you have to really speed up.
Right.
But that once again depends on the players, and some feel pretty confident on 10 seconds increment.
Yeah.
And especially for blitz, because there is a lot of blitz specialists, right? Andreikin being one of them, by the way. And what amazed me the most, okay, maybe I'm forgetting something. Drop the, you know, the lose on time, drop the flag, as we used to say, right, on mechanical clock. And yet he was world blitz champion. I mean, so this 2 seconds increment, in his case, it looks like this. I mean, he looks at the clock, and you feel like, okay, no way he's making a move.
Yeah,
and yet he's back to 3 seconds and back to 3 seconds, and you know, the moves he's playing are good.
Right.
So sometimes you have this, incredible abilities for people. Okay, so we actually ended up with queen on d7, not c6, but more or less the same setup. d4, castles long, turns out once again, if you take it, it's a check, right?
Yeah.
Black just wins, right? Black just wins this way. That's why white goes queen b3, black pretty quickly plays knight g6. So white is absolutely safe, but it's hard to say if he has any advantage, right?
Yeah.
So knight e6 and d5 would be my
Yeah, that looks like the most logical.
Kind of try to play for an advantage, right? If I'm ever trying, because if I give up on getting the advantage, apparently I have to play something like bishop d2.
Yeah. And trade the minor pieces,
Yeah, trade everything, play either rook to f1 and play. Yeah, but knight e6 is, of course, what you want to do. And that's what he does.
And,
so knight to e6, rook e8, d5. Now, however, if you're not able to hold this knight on e6, like say black goes knight f8, how bad it is. I mean, it looks ugly, but I mean, if you force white to take on f8, then black might have an advantage, in fact.
Yeah, rook is coming to e2.
Yeah, rook coming to e2, exactly. Like bishop f4, you might have a check, king goes, some rook e2. Also d5 now is sometimes weak. No, wait, I've probably overlooked this, but there is queen g4.
Ah, there is queen g4.
There is queen g4,
right. Yeah.
It kind of feels a little bit wrong. So I wonder if after knight e8, white has other moves, like coming back to d4 maybe, like rook e1. Rook e1, yeah, but the feeling is like you kind of putting the wrong rook on e1, sort of, right? You still have the bishop undeveloped, the rook undeveloped, and you know. Okay, but first wait for Giri to make his move. He does go knight f8, yeah. He does go knight f8.
And then Andreikin goes knight d4.
I was thinking if knight d4 is the move. So at least you're kind of saying, okay, your knight's on f8, you probably will have to return it back one day. And meanwhile, maybe I'll manage to develop the pieces. So now, rook e5 threatens to take the pawn. I mean, it's a funny move to play. Point being, like white develops bishop d2, you just take. And queen takes, bishop h2 check. It might turn out to be not that easy to protect this pawn, because yes, you have c4, but then who knows, bishop c5. And yeah, bishop b3 is not here. You may abuse the pin, queen g4 might be even stronger, but you may abuse the pin like this, knight e6.
Yeah, this is
funny
nice.
move, yeah, and it actually wins.
Yeah,
apparently
it
wins, yeah, because white will have to take, and then you trade the queens, take on e6, extra pawn winning, and
so actually rook e5 seems to be
rook
very
e5
good.
Should be considered.
Ah, there is bishop f4.
Bishop f4, rook d5, there is no rook d5, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought rook d5, and then you take on d6, and I'm so clever that I'm taking with the rook, and rook is running away. But you'll take the rook, there is no check on h2, yeah. Okay, never mind, rook e5 is just stupid. But yeah, maybe should start like this, but then I thought he's going bishop f4.
And white is happy to open c5.
Yeah, like if
black
he takes,
takes,
he takes, white is not unhappy, maybe rook d8 and still insisting on taking the d5 pawn, but it's kind of far less clear, I'm guessing.
So knight b5.
King, even like king h1 takes and something. Yeah, knight b5 yet is not possible, right? The knight's been.
Ah, like
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah, I completely
like
forgot.
this
Yeah, right.
takes and actually not entirely convinced. Maybe after bishop c5, I could include queen c4 with the tempo and then see where the bishop goes. Maybe it makes difference.
Right.
But yeah, it feels like white is, to be perfectly comfortable, white is missing one move, and that should be kind of one of the moves with the bishops, simply to connect the rooks and stuff. Yeah, with king on h1 as well, white would have been perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, but now Giri also spends time, so at least it's sort of guaranteed that he's not prepared up to this point. Back to g6, which is a silent draw for knight e6 played immediately.
I'm curious if Andreikin would repeat if Anish repeats.
Maybe. It's not like Andreikin has any, any specific, I don't know, aggressive opening repertoire with white, right? If you recall, he has won a game with black in the qualification, right?
Yes.
Against Grishchuk. He was much better against Bakrov with black.
Yeah, right.
So my guess would be he doesn't really mind playing black. Then once again, developing my speculation theory about like he's fine with 1-1 in the rapid because in blitz
he might be a slight favorite.
Yeah, he might feel himself more comfortable. It's not like you come to this match, you play white first game and you say, okay, I will make a draw with white and then see what happens. No, it doesn't work like that. But yeah, you've tried a little, it didn't really work out. So it really depends on what this position is. Yeah. Repeated twice already.
Yeah.
Repeated twice already. Knight back to d4, so he's in a way testing Giri.
He's about to make a move.
Yeah, knight goes back to g6 and we'll see if it's not yet a threefold. No, knight e6. Playing knight e6 would kind of
is it a threefold already?
Make it a draw, right?
Ah, so he can already claim, right?
Andreikin, yeah. He can
Yeah.
even not play knight e6, but just claim.
Yeah,
just
that's
claim.
exactly
So that
what
I'm
I
going knight e6 and it's a threefold. It's not threefold repetition of moves, but the position, right?
Yeah.
So first time it happened, this position happened where white went d5.
Yeah, they a great draw.
Yeah, so he does play, so not really kind of following the full procedure, right? He does make this move.
Yeah.
And the draw agreed. So that was,
the
I have to
fastest
say,
draw.
that was very fast. Even for the tiebreak standard, like it's rapid, the term rapid means fast games, right? But it was a little bit too fast to my taste. Okay, guys, so what happens now? They have quite an interesting schedule. So we were informed that there will be 15 minutes break after each game. So after this game, if the other game is a draw, then once again, and that slightly kind of upsets me, also 15 minutes break between two blitzes. So we agreed on the following. I mean, I think we can go full disclosure mode. So we will make a break between two rapids.
Right.
Then after the second rapid, if it's a draw, right? But we will stay on for the blitz portion. Like, okay, if it's a quick draw, then I don't know, we'll play with Teodora.
Right.
To provide more chess content or something like this.
Of course.
Okay, so you can see on a camera from the playing hall, it's a countdown which has already started, right? So 14 minutes left.
Right.
We'll probably return, like not with the start of the game, but a few minutes earlier. So stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. It's a tiebreak between Anish, Giri, and Dmitry Andreikin. Anish will have the white pieces in the second game.
In complicating times. Regarding the events in Ukraine and the war that broke out, FIDE recently made a decision to cut ties with Russian government sponsors of chess. to strip the Russian Federation of chess events, and also the Russian Federation and the Belarus Federation FIDE has made a decision for their players not to appear under their official state flags. How did you come to that decision? What was the debate inside FIDE?
Well, I should be a little bit careful because we make collective decisions on these things, and we kind of stand by our collective decisions. Obviously, initially, until it became untenable, Arkady Dvorkovich wanted to hold the Olympiad in Moscow. It's, in fact, already a colossal amount of work and effort had gone into that Olympiad. And, I think before the invasion, that was a perfectly valid position, but it very quickly became clear that this was no longer tenable. It was obvious there was going to be a massive boycott, and we acted, I would say, rather quickly to take some decisions. FIDE isn't always the most fleet-footed organization, but we understood things needed to be done. And one of the, I think our decision on Sunday actually surprised a lot of people. They said, the decisions that we made received widespread praise, even from people who are normally very, very critical of us. We went much further than people expected we would do. So we were ahead of the game. Whether we've gone far enough, I think that is another matter. These are things which are being reviewed all the time, because this is a rapidly changing situation. We do follow the lead of the International Olympic Committee on many things. I mean, we don't feel we're, let's say, entirely beholden to them. We have to follow every single comma of what they say. But basically, we do follow the lead of the IOC, and maybe there will be other measures. It's something we're reviewing, and we're reviewing it at this moment.
And how will FIDE's organization be affected? Because obviously a lot of your work was stationed in Russia, and your business ties as well.
One of the things that people haven't realized is that FIDE, under Arkady Dvorkovich, has changed quite dramatically. So our financial structure, first of all, our budget is much larger than it was. So when we took over, the budget, the published budget was about 2.7 million euros. It's piffling for an organization of this size with a large number of countries, and that's now closer to 13 million. So and we've diversified away from Russian sponsorship. We do have Russian sponsorship, and we will take a hit on that. But in fact, we have our financial situation has improved so much that this is not catastrophic for us at all. In fact, there was not even a great debate about whether we needed to do this. It was consensus was reached very quickly because reputation is very, very important for an international sporting body, and nobody is in favor of resolving matters by military means within our organization. So we are in favor of diplomacy, negotiation, and we are fundamentally against war, obviously.
And just one more thing before I let you go, just looking at the whole thing that's happening now from a higher perspective, a wider perspective, how will the war between Russia and Ukraine affect the chess world?
It's affecting the chess world in many ways. I mean, we have these issues like now, like we were supposed to have the World Team Championship taking place in Jerusalem in a few weeks. Now, if you're in a situation where you have Ukraine there, the Polish government is against Russian teams. You have a situation like this, it's going to cause huge problems, and indeed it has. And that's why we took the decision, was it today or was it yesterday? I think it's today, to postpone this until November, end of November of this year. So there are things which need to be reviewed. I would say in particular whether Russian teams should be allowed to participate. Because even if a team plays under a federation and it is comprised of Russians, then it is in a sense a Russian team. So these are things which are still being discussed within FIDE, and I think we have to make a decision one way or another pretty soon. I'm very clear in my own mind what needs to be done, but I wait to hear the decision of my colleagues.
We have Alexander Injac here with us, one of the top Serbian grandmasters who is playing at the GM Belgrade tournament, which just started today here at the Crown Plaza, where the Grand Prix is taking place. Alexander, thank you so much for joining us. You drew your game with Navarra today, but this is a very strong field in the tournament here in GM tournament in Belgrade. We have Abdusatoro, we have Sarana, we have Nihal Sarin, so we have lots of strong players and obviously a lot of Serbian players. What does this tournament mean for you personally and for Serbia in general? So I'm talking about the tournament which started today, the GM tournament.
For me, it's a great opportunity to test myself with one of the most interesting players in the world. It's a nice mix of Serbian players from Serbian national team, and also we have Abdusatoro, who is the reigning world rapid champion, Nihal Sarin, one of the kind of already known to be a future of chess in a way, and also strong Russian GMs, David Navarra, who is a top 20 or 30 in the world player for like 15 years. So actually quite an interesting mix of players, and I'm happy to have a chance to play in it. As for the meaning of tournament for Serbia, I think it's a nice change, and also it's such a strong event. I don't recall being organized since Investbanka tournament, let's say in 1999. So actually it's a nice step forward for Serbian chess, and I hope that a couple of Serbian players will perform well, and one of them, let's say, I would like to be the one to win the event.
So now talking about the Grand Prix taking place in here in Belgrade, which is already into its, well, the end of the 5th round. How important is this event for the chess in Serbia? You're obviously one of the leading figures of the chess community. What are the people saying here that appreciate it? What's the verdict?
I think it's a great event, especially that is organized in Belgrade. As I already said, a huge step forward as a chess organization, and now it's up to us players to kind of raise our level and also perform well at, let's say, Olympiad, and to try to fight for medals in the future.
So in practical terms, how does, I mean, we're talking about Serbia today, but tomorrow, you know, Germany, okay, Germany is a strong power in chess, but tomorrow another country which hasn't hosted a lot of events for a long time will be a host. How do these events, such as the Grand Prix, help the chess community in one particular country develop?
Well, I guess one of the possibilities is I already seen lots of young kids came to watch our tournament, so maybe some of them will be inspired to play chess and start taking chess more seriously, or just enjoy the game, enjoy the process of playing, or whatever. So in that sense, I think it's an important one. Also, many chess fans came to see and want to be able to see the top guys, especially the guys who are playing in the FIDE Grand Prix event. And in that sense, it's like Champions League for chess. So there are lots of chess fans in Serbia, and they're, I think, lucky to be able to witness it live, to witness the action live.
Great, very well put, Champions League for chess. Well, thank you so much. I hope you get to play more in that Champions League yourself. Thank you so much and good luck.
Okay, yeah. As we were informed, the game starts in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
but we decided to start a bit earlier. Yeah, who cares about the game anyway? No, seriously, I mean, obviously, yeah, we are here to watch the game, but I think, especially now, since we'll have those long breaks between the games, I think it's more of a, you know, more of a stream than the actual coverage.
Right.
Because, yeah, there will be. If, let's say, the second rapid game finishes in a draw, we'll have like another 15 minutes and then a blitz game and another 15 minutes. So we will have to pick a few topics to talk about. Yeah, well, chess related, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So for now, I quickly asked guys who have access to computer. They say, well, Giri was slightly better in the final position. So we could, you know, question his decision to agree a draw, but then once again, one perhaps has specific mindset. It's a mini match of 2 games. You start with black, so you think, yeah, black's draw is okay. It's not that you're rook up in this position, right?
But okay, you actually pointed out very nicely that Andreikin had very promising positions with black throughout the whole tournament. So
So
from that point of view, it's a bit
so
strange.
he's not like, it's not like, you know, some people you can clearly draw the line. So that with white he scores that much, he shows this rating, and with black it's much worse. Not in Andreikin's case.
Exactly.
I don't think it's a big problem for him to play black. Well, really interesting. I'm really interested to see what the opening is going to be. Giri's last attempt, e4, and then to play this b3, move 3 against Andreikin Sicilian. Well, I wouldn't say it was a success in the opening, even though by move 15 he had a winning position. But before that, before that, like at move 10, he was. I mean, Andreikin was absolutely fine.
Right.
Okay, so this time Giri goes for the open Sicilian. Knight c6, knight c3, a6 was last played, I'm guessing. Right. That's exactly as it happened against Grisha, right?
No, there was no knight c6 or
what was against Grishuk? I don't quite remember. I remember Andreikin winning this game. Okay, this is an good old line with, they both play very quickly with exchange on c6. How was it? Yeah, exchange on c6, bishop d3, black goes d5, goes knight f6. Here you have like many options, like queen f3, one of them, queen e2 is the other. Yeah, so basically, black claims I have a very flexible center. You won't be able to force me to take on e4, which would be a disaster, of course, for black positionally. Interestingly, d4 too early is not that great because I guess in this specific instance, white goes to a4, then goes b3.
Knight b2.
If needed, transfers the knight to c4 via b2. Yeah, so that's something that apparently is not recommended. So black just kind of keeps the position. Bishop b7 is a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I mean, it's not like, once again, it's not like this move is terrible.
Right.
But a bit unusual to see. You can't really call it a development with so many pawns on this diagonal.
Yeah, bishop e7 is really strange, actually, now that I'm thinking.
I think there used to be kind of good old theory, which would start with bishop e7, and then e5, knight d7, queen g3, and then you can't castle because bishop h6. But you could have gone g6, I'm guessing, or king f8, and then kind of plan for h5, g6, king g7, something like that. It used to be a theory, this one.
With bishop e7, does he want to play c5, maybe?
Bishop b7? Yeah, who knows? Maybe like c5, well, really looking on what white's gonna do, right?
Yeah, of course.
So kind of waiting first for white to speak up, sort of. White, I think, well, it could be like you go queen g3 and it's clearly beneficial, right? I don't have to care about the g7 pawn, I might do something else. Maybe even, I mean, I hate to say this, but it might be, this is what black is doing. I mean,
no way.
You know, just, okay, I mean, you went queen g3, tell me what you're planning to do, right?
Yeah, actually.
I mean, you can put it on h3 and then I probably go back, and one could argue that, the queen on h3 is better than on f3.
Right.
Then, yet again, you'll have to demonstrate. Okay, rook e1, that's very typical. One more time, rook is very useful. It supports the e5 pawn later on if white decides to play e5. Sometimes, though, it is hanging after d4, knight a4, and queen a5. I remember those funny things happening. The thing is, after d4, you're not forced to go to e4.
Of course,
right?
just knight e2.
It probably would be the ideal square, kind of, in connection with b3 and knight b2, knight c4, but you may as well go to b1, d2, c4, or just go e2, e2, g3. Right, so d4, releasing the tension in the center too early is not recommended still.
So black probably just wants bishop e7 now. I mean, he has to develop somehow.
Yeah, probably he plays bishop e7 now.
Yeah. Also c5, there is ed.
c5, it's a little bit too optimistic, right? So takes here, bishop takes, and then not sure. Even bishop e4 is, I mean, very straightforward and probably better for white, but you could make an argument for some sort of queen g3 and preventing black's bishop development for now.
Right.
Yeah, but even bishop e4 takes with the queen, right? And then you just claim, okay, I have better pawn structure.
Right.
So c5, I think in general, like they only play c5 when the pawn already went forward. So, well,
it's strange that he's thinking.
Yeah. I mean, he played bishop b7, rook e1 is one of the most natural moves. And then he starts to think.
Well, maybe he's considering bishop b4. That might be an option.
Bishop b4 as a queen, or maybe even e5.
Knight d7.
Knight d7, but then you'll have to go back to f8, right? Which might not be a disaster, once again. The structure is so comfortable for black, like with him later on pushing c5 and so on, that he might be fine losing a couple of tempi. I mean, honestly, I've never really understood such positions. I mean, I've looked at it, I mean, my students played it, but yeah, how much is too much for black? That's what I'm saying, because sometimes in order to simply force white or invite white to play e5, you can do a lot of dumb things. and then e5 happens, and the king is strangely safe,
Yeah.
right? Like f4, you can go g6, if f4 happens, right? For white to move the queen, go g4, go f5, it's a little bit too much.
Very risky, yeah.
It's a little bit too much, yeah.
So he played bishop e7.
He does play bishop e7, queen g3. So now, castling still kind of bad, right?
Yeah,
And not necessarily, though.
there's
Bishop
98.
h6, 98. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not very attractive, but like next move, king h8, force the bishop away, and then maybe you'll play c5.
But castle, there is e5 first.
Yeah, e5. Ah, you mean like we go e5, and then if knight goes to d7, then obviously
Yeah.
bishop h6 wins in exchange. If you go to e8, white won't play bishop h6. He'll just say, okay, your knight's on e8, ha ha ha. Okay. But maybe even this is fine.
But there is maybe queen h3 or something.
Queen
just-
h3,
yeah.
g6, right?
But now
Ah,
white managed to
you,
do something.
Then you
Bishop
probably
h6.
like go here, knight g7. Yeah, the knight on g7 is not where you want it to be.
Yeah. Rook a d1, and it looks comfortable. So queen g3, what else can black do? Okay, there is this knight h5. which
Knight
is,
h5, yeah, well, this time knight h5, queen g4, and then g6, possible. There's also probably not here, but in queen b6 is just. I mean, just to mention that this tactic might exist here, and queen f2, right? And but here the queen is protected, so it's
Protected.
certainly not from this line.
Okay,
Yeah.
but in this position there is knight g4.
Ah, there is knight
Yeah.
g4, queen d2, bishop c5, and so on. It gets
Yeah.
messy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, well, the thing is, like, queen b6 is such an abstract move. So if white doesn't take on g7 but does something else, yeah, it's just probably a bad move. It will run into knight a4 later. Yeah, I think black has to react to the fact that g7 is hanging. g6, no? h5.
h5.
Okay, this is serious. This is serious. So now the pawn is actually hanging. And I wonder, I'm starting to recall something. There was a very, 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 very sharp game, which quickly ended in a draw in Russian superfinal between Motilev and Andreikin. But I can't really recall what it was. It was, yeah, I mean, it was at some point involving like white taking on g7 and black playing some crazy move like king d7, potentially with queen already being somewhere,
Yeah.
like playing king d7, then bringing the
On
rooks,
rook to
like
g8,
yeah. That's a clear invitation to take on g7. So
What does
yeah,
happen
Anish.
if white just takes?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, apparently rook g8, right? It's
Queen
not that you can do
h6.
much. Yeah, queen h6, and then question mark. Rook g6, you have queen f4, right? Maybe just like play queen c7 and then castle long and pretend it's what you wanted. Or wait a second, maybe c5 now. Okay, maybe c5 now. Because if you start taking now, you know, that's a little bit different story, right?
I mean, even this.
Takes and
queen d5 maybe.
Queen d5,
but
bishop
there is
e4.
bishop e4.
No, I think it's bishop d5.
And then bishop f1.
Ah, bishop f1, and yeah. It's not clear if it's enough
Yeah.
compensation. Probably not.
But why should probably take on g7? It seems like.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't take, probably he wants to push h4. Does he?
Yeah, he'll play h4 or... Okay, the other question would be what happens if I go here? Because knight g4, h3, I'm not sure if it works for black at all.
Bishop
Bishop h4.
H4,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, it does work.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so now with this bishop h4 being, a threat of bishop h4 being revealed,
Yeah.
it's clear e5, knight g4 is the idea. Actually, it's not that easy to stop bishop h4 in a comfortable way,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And then let's say if you move away, I'll play g6 and then h3, knight here, yeah.
Right.
So he's happy with this outcome. And the real question is, of course, yeah, queen g7, rook g8, queen h6, and then what happens next? d4, knight e2. Still, yeah, it's not entirely convincing.
Some bishop c5 maybe to have a threat of bishop.
Yeah, like knight g4. If queen h5, bishop c5, who knows, or queen b6 even.
Yeah.
But that seems like way too artificial. It's a nice point to bring some surprise, of course. I mean, it's
he does something else.
h3 stops knight g4. After h3, okay, one of the questions would be really h4.
Does white take on g7, yeah?
Yeah, because if you didn't take previously, what's the chance you take it now? And then if you don't take it now, then this inclusion like h3, h4, queen has to leave, of course, in black's favor.
Yeah. No, but probably he can, I mean, he should take on g7 somehow, it feels like.
Okay, g6, this.
Knight d7.
Maybe now you can play h4, and then knight h5, and g7, and here, eventually.
He played king f8.
He played king f8, okay. But still, the inclusion of h5 and h3 is probably in black's favor. I think now we'll get this sort of usual position from this line, which is white blocking with e5, then somehow developing the pieces. Black going c5 one day, and then b3, and then, I don't know, some more moves. It ends up being like this, right? Knight a4, let's say king g7, white goes c4. Okay, just have to make sure that nothing is hanging. And black finally blocks it, and then white. It's kind of both sides are very limited in creative play, right? So for black, the queen side initiative is kind of completely blocked, but at the same time, white has to keep some pieces on the queen side, otherwise black immediately gets some counterplay. For white, it's very hard to make progress with like moving g4, f4, f5. We'll see. Bishop f4 played by Giri, so he's not in rush to play e5. h4, queen back to f3. Now black needs to be a little bit careful with what he does, because g6, I'm a little bit worried about e5, and who knows, maybe taking on g6 and in some line.
Oh, but there's also square for a knight. There is knight h5, some bishop h2. No, it feels strange. No, it's a very weird position.
Yeah, it's actually very unorthodox position.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at kind of pieces separately, and then the bishop on b7 is really strange. Yeah, black lost the castle, right, the king's on f8 and so on. But it's perhaps fully compensated by the flexibility of the pawn center. So you can do a lot, once again, a lot of stupid things behind the pawn chain, right? As long as white can't really take on d5 twice, sacrifice the piece, open everything. Okay, you can do a lot of maneuvering and be slow enough. So, well, once again, Andreikin a little bit behind on the clock, not as dramatic as in the previous game.
Maybe g6 is actually possible.
Yes, that is what I'm wondering. e5.
Knight h5.
Knight h5. No bishop g6. Right, bishop g6 you just take, there is no favorable discovered check. Knight h5, and let's say I'm probably not going here, but rather going to d2. This might be a question, like if you go king g7, yeah, the knight is somewhat misplaced on one hand, but on the other, maybe it's not that bad here on h5. It kind of sits and waits. Then another anti-positional idea, then maybe bishop g5 is not such a stupid exchange, right?
Right.
You probably don't want to, you know, dark square bishops to just be absent from the board as is, right? But if you exchange on g5 and go queen g5, all of a sudden it changes, it changes the situation. So one more time, a lot of interesting play. King g8, nice. Rook a d1, knight h5. So interesting. Yeah, it seems Andreikin sped up quite a bit. And could it be that, like, he doesn't know the opening line exactly, but it would seem that he knows kind of the plan. He has some picture on how he wants the position to look. Because it looks like a set of random moves, right? Knight h5, king g8. I mean, if my beginner student would play this, I would be very harsh on himself.
Bishop d6. So it's inviting e5.
Bishop d6, yeah, it's inviting e5, but in this case, the bishop's kind of getting stuck, and that compensates for your knight being on h5. You just say, okay, sooner or later, you'll have to activate the bishop, and I'll trade it happily. If white trades immediately, then queen f4 is an idea. If now e5, who knows, maybe queen b4 followed up with queen a4, queen f4, or knight f4 for that matter.
Yeah.
So really, really interesting thing.
But it feels like white should take on d6. Takes on d6 and maybe something. This h4 is really limiting white's position.
So we are planning to take, apparently, and then Giri is not sure, in fact. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you go, I don't know, maybe you go e5. And maybe once again, you shouldn't be, I don't know if bishop c5 makes sense here. Bishop, just wanted to say that if bishop e7, maybe you shouldn't be limited to, you know, kind of usual imagination on how pawn structure should look. Maybe you should play g4, you know, just kind of be extremely aggressive. Like take with the pawn, play g4 one more time.
Oh, yes. This is actually quite possible, yeah.
The structure is not that great for white, but maybe you play for initiative kind of to be fast.
Right.
So maybe e5 with the idea to play g4. Maybe
it's quite forcing, actually.
Yeah. So maybe after e5, in fact, maybe black has to play this in order to pin the f2 pawn to kind of stop white's aggression for a little bit. Okay, so Giri is thinking. That's a very important choice indeed.
Maybe he can also try to take on d6 and then go similar idea, but then this queen b4 is strong. Like he does take on d6.
Yeah, he does take, but he kind of feels it's a little bit easier for black, right? Because now black perhaps never loses control over f4. So now, like queen f4 is a thing, right? After e5, queen b4. I mean, I'm not sure how serious black would be about taking this pawn. Probably not.
Yeah, maybe just knight e2.
Knight e2 is possible. Yeah, queen b2 loses to rook b1. Knight e2.
And then some c5 even.
Yeah. Still, I don't like it. Don't like the way it looks for black, to be honest.
For black?
Yeah. c5. Yes, c5 is possible. But then, then I play c3 and it's not clear. Maybe I'm getting rid of the queen on the fourth rank, you know, go queen g4.
Yeah, queen g4 is...
h4 pawn. We are getting there, e5 and queen b4 played. e5 and queen b4 played.
Actually, even
funny enough, a3 is a possible move. Point being, if you take, there is rook b1, and you can't take c3 because bishop h7, because you kindly move the king to g8, right? And if a3 is answered with queen f4, yeah, but then I'm not sure how it's done properly. But even if, let's say I'm stupid, and I'm taking on f4, which probably helps black. But there might be a switch to the play on a queen side all of a sudden, because black strangely doesn't have control over c5, yeah?
Yeah, this looks bad for black.
So like get the knight on c5, yeah, maybe not as terrible as it looks, yeah, but like g5, but still, like if you allow white knight on c5 and your response to it is bishop c8, then you may guess it's not a very promising position.
So he did play knight e2.
He did play knight e2, okay, obviously yeah, controlling f4 is what he's interested in.
But now I wasn't sure after c5 what is happening. Some
c5, yeah, that's what I thought. c3.
Just right, c3.
c3 and b2 still not possible. Yeah, maybe you go like queen a4 to annoy white a little.
He played g6.
He plays what? g6. To have knight g7. Maybe knight g7, knight f5. In fact, maybe in this specific version, maybe white's not on time to play, you know, g4 twice. Kind of.
Yeah.
Anish still goes c3, right? Using the fact that b2 cannot be taken. But then you just go to e7, right? Then you can just go to e7. And then it's at least like it's very flexible. You go to e7, you keep in mind the possibility to go to g5. You also have c5 as an idea. Queen g4.
Yeah, queen g4 I like.
Queen g4, right, but maybe it doesn't scare you all that much. So h4 is protected. Who knows? Even like a move like a5, just a positional move.
And now maybe knight d4 to go knight f3.
d4. c5, knight b5, knight d6.
Yeah, right.
It starts to be a little bit annoying, those pawns, right? Maybe king g7 is... It's like I have difficulties understanding, like, is king g7 what I want in this position or not?
Or knight g7.
Or knight g7, knight f5 or whatever.
No, I mean here
king g7, the knight is getting stuck.
And also after knight f3 there is no chance to there is no way to defend the h4 pawn. Yeah.
You actually were going after h4 pawn, just realized, yeah. Okay. So really, queen g4 followed by knight d4. But wait a second.
There is c5.
Queen g4, why don't I play c5? Yeah. Why don't I play c5 to control d4? That might be because you play b4. I still can't take, right? And white is fighting for a d4 square. Who knows? Yeah, that's actually gets quite sharp, this one. Strategically sharp, and it's not very far from getting tactically sharp.
Yeah. But I like bringing white's knight to f3. Somehow king h2, knight g1, knight f3 also might be like some idea, yes.
Right, even without b4, yeah. You might do it slowly, yeah, really, like king h2, knight g1, knight f3, attack this. But b4 is also like b4 is not such terrible idea, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because quite a few black pieces, for the time being, got stuck on the king side, and then opening a second front, like opening the b file,
right,
is something white wouldn't mind doing.
I mean, even b4 now is maybe possible.
Yeah, b4 is, or could be, the move as well.
There's some a5.
Yeah, b4, a5, and then it's a question like, how happy are you with, say, a3 simply? So once again, it's a very, very tough position to play, and that line overall, like this line, this setup with black, for black. I've seen quite a few people playing, and there are specialists in that line that when they do it, it seems, okay, it's an easy thing in the world. It's just a fortress. I mean, white can't do anything. But when you look at this from black's perspective, and you say, like, what? I'm supposed to play this position? Yeah, actually, we've guessed a couple of moves. Yeah, b4, a5, a3 played. Well, there is an argument for this decision because at least black solves partially solves his problems. Like A, B, for instance, at least the rook, we can say, it's sort of playing.
And bishop a6, there's rook a1.
A6, yeah. Rook a1, yeah, so bishop a6 for now is questionable. I wouldn't say impossible because there is still like queen b7.
Way to defend, yeah.
But looks scary, looks scary.
No, if he wants to go bishop a6, he can do it now, maybe.
He can do it now, right. So the thing for black, I mean, you are not yet sure how you connect the rooks. You probably will have to at some point, right?
Right.
So yeah, and he actually does go bishop a6, bravo. So what I wanted to say that maybe this b4 opens second front a bit too early, so that whenever you drag some white pieces to the queen side, then black all of a sudden can play king g7 and also bring the rook to b8.
Right.
Right. Bishop a6 now would allow for king h7, for instance, right, after the trade of these bishops.
Yeah.
Knight d4, bishop takes d3 was played. So there is still the c6 weakness.
I guess rook d3, right? You don't...
No,
queen
he
d3.
takes with the queen, yeah, he takes with the queen because I think quite likely there'll be a switch to the queen side play.
And c5 seems very risky.
Yeah, like c5, I wouldn't do it. It might not be that bad, right? And there is like no immediate way of refuting it because there is knight g7,
Yeah.
comfortable knight g7. If you try to sacrifice a piece, there's knight g7 and everything is kind of holding together. But yeah, but c5 feels extremely risky. And there is also, it's a little bit awkward, but it kind of wins the pawn, knight c6 and knight a5.
Yeah, right.
The knight's getting stuck on a5, but
It's a pawn.
it's a pawn, yeah. Pawn is good. It's better to have a pawn than no pawn. Queen b7. Okay. So what's now? The pawn's protected. A white can go knight b3, induce and kind of force the exchange, and then go to c5. Now rook b1. Okay. Could it be that black knight is that far away from, from the queen side, and then, yeah, one can say knight f4 with the tempo, but what's then? Yeah, queen d2, you'll probably have to go back, g5 is too much. Right, so the knight is too far away, I'm trying to say, that white might be opening, forcefully opening the b file, like disregarding the structure, simply saying, yeah, I'll open this file, I'll bring more pieces that you can, potentially, and then I'll just win.
And after a4, he wants to take with rook.
a4,
probably.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, cb4 is another thing, right? cb4, once again, making it even more, less symmetrical, more asymmetrical, the structure that is, right? And then the other rook to c1 potentially, and c6 is a clear target. Right, it's very sharp now. Queen a6, okay. So saying without the queens I'll be much less scared.
And if the queen moves, he might actually put the queen on
the
c4.
Queen on c4 might be not a bad square, yeah. Might be not a bad square. There is always a question, like if b5 happens, what's the evaluation here?
He did go b5,
He did go b5. Okay, black doesn't have
Yeah.
that much of a choice. Pawn takes, and then who knows, maybe rook takes for now. Yeah, like
rook
rook
b5.
takes, yeah.
Now there is some rook b8 as a potential threat.
Yeah,
Might not
for
be,
white,
yeah,
rook
but
b8 and so on. I guess you go king g7, or once again maybe king h7, so that any knight jumps would be without a check. You desperately need to connect the rooks.
no, I don't like the black's position, honestly.
Yeah, somehow it feels like, yeah, the position opened kind of way too early. Black's not ready.
Yeah.
Black's not ready. One of the ways to continue would be just to play a4, to play rook c1, c4, just open the queen side entirely.
And also, even if the black knight comes to f5, white can just take, and it's not clear how black wants to recapture. So it's not clear what will black do with his knight. That's
No, I
Very
think
strange.
he goes knight g7. Wow.
Knight g7.
Knight, seriously? Wait a sec, knight g7. So now check king h7, he's safe, right? He think he's safe. Rook b1, okay.
Now king h7 seems to be the... I mean, he has to move this king.
Oh, wait a second, king h7 now, there is like all various kinds of knight f3, knight f5 maybe, maybe black is safe like this. Right? The other thing I would care about is the white going c4, because while the knight was on h5, I was considering briefly, but then at least like knight f4, knight d5, you know, at least the knight is getting to a safe square. Now, like if white goes c4, rook a b1 for now. Yeah, that's black to move, but still. Rook what? c8?
I think queen c8.
Oh, queen c8, yeah. Kind of avoiding any kind of tactics, yeah. Queen c8, so holds the 8th rank,
and
stops c4 for
stops
now.
c4, yeah.
Stop c4 for now. Doesn't stop rook b7 though. Doesn't stop rook b7, and if rook b7 happens, then, you know, if 7's targeted, king h7 impossible, and I mean, tolerating opponent's rook on 7th rank never been a pleasant thing to do.
No, I think after rook b7, he might have to go knight f5.
Yeah, but what's then, right? I mean, white, say, takes.
gf5.
gf5 and yeah.
No, but it looks...
Even, yeah, I mean, maybe gf5 kind of works, yeah, queen e3, and then you'll have to guard this one somehow. Actually, the structure is kind of good for black, right? if not for the king. If the king is not that terribly weak, the structure is not bad. Like, I imagine black losing the a pawn and swapping the queens won't be a disaster, right? Yeah. Then you just go king g7 and you say, okay, rook and game, I will never lose. So maybe white should look for more than that. Maybe he should look for more than that. Hang on a second. Rook b7, you said knight f5. How about me not trading the knights? I go here, I want to go knight g5 and target f7. That's also a big, big question. Rook b6?
Rook b6.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, rook b6 is a little bit mysterious unless he's planning some rook c6.
Yeah, rook c6 probably.
And then
other rook to b7.
Other rook to b7 if it's happening. Like after knight f5, rook c6 sounds cool, but queen d7, and then then black kind of guards the 7th rank.
Yeah.
It is getting pretty sharp. Also, the players are low on time. Yeah? 2 minutes left for Andreikin, but now those skills they are actually shown. So before that, it was well, not necessarily classical, but kind of normal game with a little bit less time on the clock.
Yeah.
When you get to this rhythm with when you have a minute or two and only 10 seconds increment, and the position is still kind of alive. Yeah, probably white's better, but not. We can't say how much is there. Queen c4, c5.
C5.
Sorry, not c4, but c5. Queen c5.
So.
Looks scary. I mean, feels like Andreikin is playing with fire by doing all that. Plain and simple, wants to take on a3. Queen c5, but what's after a4, let's say?
So many moves.
Queen, what? Queen f3, targeting f7.
So queen a3, he wants just rook. Rook b8 he has, yeah. It's even more concrete.
After queen a3,
yeah. Does
rook b8, I'm not so sure. Because then black trades, right?
Yeah, and king h7.
Trades, goes king h7, there is no checkmate. It's
right.
It's a lot of checks, you take the pawn, then black has this check, so that will be even harder to assess.
Black goes rook f8.
Rook f8, fine. I'm starting to recall, there have been games, I mean very similar games. his point is, he's not going knight f5 taking with the pawn. He says, this rook guards f7. I couldn't care less about the a pawn, you can have it. And then rook h5, knight f5 and e5 is weak. You know, so this is, I think I've seen this set up. Once again, I'm not sure if it works specifically.
Yeah.
But since this rook f8 is played, I realized that, yeah, I possibly seen it somewhere. For white, kind of one of the things is that the knight on d4 is strangely not getting to real action, right? It stands nicely, but if we reconsider and understand that a pawn probably doesn't matter that much, yeah.
So rook
And you
b8.
should rook b8. So even now, like you could technically, or it's, well, it is a position pawn down. Yeah.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
take it, it's
We
f7
had the
is-
same position with queen on a3 already.
Yeah, f7. Sorry, the f7 pawn is actually a valuable pawn.
Maybe just king h7 here. It's
Yeah, if he can do it, king h7. I guess white trades, goes queen f4. Then maybe
well, he actually took on a3.
he took on a3.
That's
Yeah,
very
because,
brave.
because why not, right? Takes. If white takes, he's planning to take with the queen apparently. Yeah, it's a incredibly sharp game, and of course very brave play by Dmitry Andreikin. Not sure if good.
Yeah. No, it feels like white should have something.
Well, trading on f8, going rook b7. How do you extract your guys from the corner? Would be my question. Also having a knight c6 threat later on, right? Kind of trade here. I don't think king takes makes any sense. Right, so queen takes, we go here, targeting f7.
Knight c6 is coming.
Knight c6 is coming.
No, probably knight f5.
Maybe
Yeah.
knight f5 and he's holding. Yeah, I don't know.
Rook f8 played.
Rook f8 played, yeah, obviously. Queen takes back. It was so... knight c6 immediately threatening rook b8.
I guess king h7 is
King
forced.
h7 is more or less forced.
And rook b7 just knight f5. Then. Actually, maybe he's just
Queen
going for
c5, wow.
queen c5.
Queen c5, he values his a5 pawn. I thought king h7, at least white's able to take
Yes,
the a5
yes,
pawn.
exactly. I
No.
wanted to say same.
No, he says, no, you won't take it that easily at least.
Yeah.
Is there any chance, wait a second, check, and queen queen f7 I thought. But then you just take this guy. Because
Right.
I was thinking that this might be hard to protect against this stupid checkmate. I mean, I don't know if I have to believe it or not, but it's irrelevant because because black just takes on c6.
Sure, yeah.
Black just takes on c6, rook b7, rook g8 or whatever.
No, Anish is down to 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow. This queen c5 seems to be very uncomfortable to face. I mean,
Rook b7, knight,
Knight
f5.
f5,
Yeah,
just,
somehow
yeah.
black. It feels like it's coming together for black. Seems like it's coming together for black. Because, yeah, rook b8, you trade on h8, and then what? Like knight is hanging, if you move back knight f5 or king g8, yeah. That's like,
no, it
clear.
might be actually good to move knight d4 back. Now
Knight
that I'm
d4
thinking.
back. Yeah, but it's a pawn, you know.
It's a pawn, yes.
It's a pawn, and also black might switch to this kind of greedy mode, and after, okay, he goes rook b7, targeting f7, fine. So now, knight f5 is almost automatic, you can't really do much.
Don't know why is he thinking.
Just double checking, because I think sometimes it happens this way. You thought, yeah, rook b7 is stupid because knight f5, and then when it's played, rook b7, you think, okay, maybe I'm blundering something simple, and then you tend to double check, yeah. Even though knight
Yeah,
f5.
I wanted to say there is some knight e7.
Knight e7, knight takes e7, pardon me?
Rook b8, knight c8. Did you?
Yes, exactly. And also, okay, I mean, you have queen f6. Maybe this is kind of some brilliancy, and then you have queen f6. and king f8, the rook's hanging, and everything's hanging. And, is it possible that white is winning? Question mark.
Okay, there is rook h5. No.
The thing is, yeah, like rook h5. That's exactly what I was thinking. And black, white takes, and this is a threat. This is a threat. Wow. Knight e7, king g7. Yeah, fine. Exactly. You can go king g7 after knight f5. You take g f5, and you're not knight g6. Wow, what is this? So king g6, check on g4.
And then what? Takes on f7 or what?
Yeah.
There is no real...
King h6, you mean? No, apparently there is a perpetual of some sort as an insurance for Anish.
No, but playing this position on seconds...
Also, if you pay closer attention, yeah, exactly. Like, very often, like, people underestimate that the knight sacrificed near the king doesn't actually threaten the king. So very often, like, you can even move the rook, you know, and knight on g6. Like,
yeah.
While it's not taken, it's not threatening all that much.
Oh, queen c6.
Queen c6, check on f7, king f7, knight h8, but then the knight's getting trapped, right? King g7, queen h5.
But now there is no threat for
no threat for white,
right?
yes. So white kind of needs to move the knight away. Funny enough, after this check king h8, there might not be a perpetual, yeah, and this is what Andreikin is betting at. So he captures c3, he says, I don't care, the king is not in any sort of danger, right? So that's an incredible game now. And it's so uncomfortable for Anish also, because like you move knight g6, you still don't threaten anything. And I wonder if those two pieces can threaten the king, strangely.
Right.
And black has the a pawn, black has like check on a1 and then e5 falls with a check, knight f7, okay. Knight f7, knight g5, perhaps that's what he wants to do. You have a check and capture on f2.
No, I think maybe it would be better to have just board on the big screen. What do you think?
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah. Queen e1 check, takes on f2, knight g5. Well, black obviously has a perpetual. No, black is winning, I'm guessing. Queen e1, queen h1 is here. Queen e1, first collect the e5 pawn with a check, right?
Right.
First collect the e5 pawn with a check. Queen e1, king h2, yeah, you collect the pawn with a check.
Yes, very
Then
nice.
you're not forced, first of all, you're not forced to do it, but you might as well do it. You just give a check on h1, fork, and then this knight endgame, right? Pawn up. And also, yeah, I think he just went queen e3, he's probably spotted some other win. He probably spotted some other, or he didn't spot queen h1. I mean, it's also possible.
Yeah, of course it's possible. Because when you see queen h1, you do it on this time trouble, for sure. No, but this might be...
I mean, maybe he's just that comfortable. Maybe he gives the check, goes king f6, you know, and runs to e5 and so on. Yeah, obviously, with this time, I would just go queen e1, queen h1. I mean, it's got to be winning.
Of course.
Because knight e6 check, I mean, at the very end of this line, knight e6 check, yeah, like we should probably show it. Check here, it's absolutely forcing, right? King goes here, check, forces queen straight, and then, yeah, white wins one of the pawns back, but that's the a pawn, right? That's the a pawn and the d pawn, and it's just easily winning.
It's easily winning,
it's completely winning.
For sure,
Queen h1's on the board, Andreikin's in the final, unless something like some miracle happens. I don't believe in miracles in this particular instance. Knight takes h5, yes, I think it's much better to switch to the board view now because they're playing very fast, the moves will come with delay, and yeah, it's more or less clarified the situation, not that many pieces left. Yeah, knight c5, well, kind of holding for now, but yeah, with two pawns. Yeah, knight c5 is an annoying square though.
What happens on king e5?
King e5, nothing yet, but then you don't have king d4, you don't have king d6 because knight b7 or but you have d4 and king d5. And also your knight on h5 is kind of nice. I mean, I think it's done. King d5, knight f4.
This h pawn is also completely limiting.
Yeah, the h pawn is still alive, and also like at some point, black might just switch to promoting the a pawn. Right, not winning the knight for it, but just promoting the a pawn.
Yeah.
I think it's game. think it's game.
So d4? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that
well,
doesn't seem to...
Yeah, like Anish does what he possibly can do, but it's not much you can do in such situation.
Or just knight f4 now, right?
Yeah, check on f4 is possible, and that's what he does. King f3, yeah, knight f4. I guess king f3 is what Anish is planning. I mean, there is no point in giving this one away. Knight e6. I mean, that's another annoying thing that you can always, I mean, like literally always speculate on exchanging the knights.
And
White never can do this, right? And then what do you even do, right? Knight d3, king f5, and the a pawn is moving, and the d pawn's alive here.
Yeah, knight e6 is a nice move. No, he goes king d5.
He does king d5. Yeah, also makes sense. Attack the knight. You control d3. Okay, so you basically force the knight to a4, but then it's even kind of easier, right?
Knight d3 maybe. Then
Yeah, knight
c5.
d3 or knight e6, knight c5, knight
Yeah,
d3, knight c5. Yeah. So it's a bit of a race, right? Because white's gonna play g3, whatever, he'll get his own passed pawn.
Yeah.
But it's not much of a race because black should be faster, I believe. G3 takes on G3. So the thing is, like, if you take with the king, there is also D3 move, right?
But then king f3. Maybe
D3.
he's still on
You
time.
mean like it's not that, might not be all that easy.
I mean,
There
king
is-
d4.
There is also this h4 thing. There is also h4. Could it be that Andreikin wasn't convincing enough? Because I'm 100% sure that kind of the starting position was dead winning. D2,
d2, there is always knight c3. So
knight
it's not...
c3, I'm attacking the knight, right?
No, I mean, generally it's not a threat.
Wait a
for
second,
d1.
that'd be a funny line. Yeah. Yeah, d2, I thought king f2, d1 knight with a check, and then king e2 traps the knight, and you know.
Oh, interesting,
that would be
interesting,
crazy. Yeah, okay, but king c4 might as well be that black is just winning because the a pawn and d pawn promote together, right? So black knight has to care about the h pawn.
No, just king b3 is coming, it looks.
King b3, force the
completely
knight
lost,
to
yeah.
b6, and then what, d2?
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
No, probably king has to come to f2, f3, something.
But,
No,
but then still, right?
Yeah,
h5, king b3 just wins, right?
I mean, probably there are many moves which
King
win.
b3, wait a second, king b3, h6, it doesn't win anything.
King b3, h6.
Yeah,
But knight f8
you'll
just-
have to go to f8 and then knight c5 check. And you go king c2,
Yeah.
and you say, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, h6.
Knight f8, I believe.
d2, h7, d1. d2 also wins, right? Because it's black who starts checking first. I mean, he
Yeah,
could have
sure.
got d2,
Sure.
d2, h7, d1, h8, and then you give queen d6 check, for instance, then you take the knight. But he considers this one to be easier, apparently. King c2, because there is no way of stopping the d pawn.
No, now it's just finished.
And even if you stop the d pawn, there is a pawn.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Knights are notoriously bad fighting against rook passed pawns, right? And when you are at the edge of the board.
Yeah.
So, well, Andreikin was banking on a black
Very
color.
impressive play on
Yeah,
seconds.
they captured this a pawn when we thought it
Yes.
was extremely dangerous, but we have to agree he was completely right. Now this a pawn. I mean, first of all, he cared about his a pawn, not giving it away. Then he captured Anish's pawn. Okay, knight e6, d2. And this is it.
Anish resigned, yeah.
And this is it. Andreikin wins yet another game with black and becomes the finalist
Yes.
of Belgrade Grand Prix, where he will face Richard Rapport.
Right.
Well, that was quite a tiebreak, I have
Yeah,
to say.
quite a tie. After the first game, we didn't expect,
Yeah, I was
such a
almost
fight.
sure.
Yeah.
I was almost sure, okay, it will be a quiet draw and,
We're gonna see the blitz, yeah.
But this is real you know, this is real spectate for all of us. Like when it gets to seconds and a lot of shifts here and there, and yeah, Andreikin becomes victorious after all. Knocks Giri from the semi-final. Still, everyone who made it to semi-final, it was MVL and Andreikin. Sorry, MVL and Giri.
Yeah.
Right. They have another leg of Grand Prix
in Berlin.
In Berlin, coming in like 10 days time or something, and kind of stopping at the semi-final is not a disaster.
Of course,
right? It's not a disaster. I mean, it'll be a very strong competition in the last leg, right? Because you'll have Aronian there, who's the finalist, Nakamura, who's the winner of Berlin, and then plays in Berlin again.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not a disaster for those guys who lost in the semi-final. They still have their chances.
Sure.
And we know the names of the finalists. Final starts tomorrow. Andreikin and Rapot will play each other, and to my shame, I don't know what the color is going to be.
Yeah, me neither.
There must be a specific rule, but by that point, I've already lost track because you know, I mean, those are strange rules because you have to follow by the number, and then you know, if some lower-rated player knocks out the higher-rated player, which is the case right now, so he picks up his starting number and so on.
Right.
Right, getting some manager. Yeah, we will wait until the press conference, obviously. Yeah, that's absolutely clear.
No, and I also think it will be very interesting because both of these players have very unique styles, both Andreikin and Rapot. So I'm really curious to see which openings they pick. They don't go to this main line, so they are very specific players.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, Rapot so far had a very, very good tournament.
Very good tournament, yeah.
He's also in this situation that he lost in the semi-final. In Berlin. For him, that's a second. That's a second tournament. So, well, for him, it's very important to try to win. Of course. Right. Right. So is for Andreikin, obviously. If you're in the final, you want to win the final.
Yeah.
What a surprise. Right. So, well, we'll talk about this much more in detail tomorrow. But I mean, if I'm to predict that, like, I think Andreikin is kind of clever enough that he might try to exploit Rapot's creativity. Like if your opponent, you know your opponent is too creative, you don't have to be very creative yourself. Sometimes it actually is beneficial to be a little bit boring. So to offer your opponent a chance to, okay, disbalance the game, but in my favor.
Right.
Oh, we'll see. Of course, it's like all those psychological aspects, they are couple of % of the game, and I mean everything is decided on
64 squares. Yes.
Squares are. Right. So we are getting ready for
press conference.
For the press conference, what had to be said is probably said, right? By that time.
I'm not sure about the score between Andreikin and Rapot. That would be interesting.
I don't even think that they've played too many games against each other. I mean, if they did, it might have been like, you know, accidental, some European League or European Club Cups.
Or some Swiss tournaments, maybe.
Swiss tournaments, even like Gibraltar or European individual.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be like huge history of facing each other. Okay, so I think that's, it wasn't a free day, but it was relatively easy and very exciting day for us in the office. So as soon as you see, players are ready for a press conference, or rather Andreikin is ready to answer some questions on the digital board, that means that we say goodbye, see you tomorrow, right, for the final, and please listen to the winner of today's tiebreak.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Hello everyone, we are joined by Grandmaster Dmitry Andreikin. Congratulations for your win. What was the most important in this match for you?
Okay, well, both games is very important. In first game I played in opening very bad, but okay, we make a repetition. And second game I preferred Sicilian. It is normally Queen F3, a little bit rare move. Rook E1 is a main line. Bishop B7 is normal because after Bishop E7 white can play E5, Knight D7 and Queen G3, and here I can't make a castle because white have Bishop H6.
Bishop H6,
Yeah, so start from bishop b7, rook e1, and here bishop e7, queen g3. I'm not sure about h5 move. I didn't prepare it, but I had a game against Kramnik, and I preferred a castle, and after bishop h6, knight e8, bishop h4, for example, it's a little bit unpleasant position for black, because after knight f6, white have bishop e5, a very important move. So h5. h5, maybe white can take on g7, who knows. After rook g8, queen h6, I plan to play knight g4. Here after queen h7 I have a repetition, but white can take on h5, bishop c5, and here I calculate rook e2, and for example queen f6 maybe, or queen c7 will compensation, but okay, now I see
it's not that clear,
computer revolution, yes. But maybe it's playable for human, because black should play a long castle, yeah, and
try to somehow attack,
rook, yeah. Maybe it's normally for rapid. But okay, Anish played h3, very logical move too. Now I don't have h4 because white will take on g7, king f8. It's typical move in this line. King on f8 is okay usually. Bishop. Oh, sorry.
No problem. Go back.
Here,
yeah, bishop f4.
Bishop f4, yes. Okay, h4 is logical. Queen f3, king g8. My first idea was knight h5, but white can take on d5, and I can't take c takes d5 because white can take on e6, and after if
bishop
c6,
c7, yeah, tactic.
Yeah. So I played king g8 for first, rook a d1, knight h5. I'm not sure about bishop h2. Maybe white can play bishop c1, for example, because after bishop h2, bishop d6, I think black position is absolutely okay after changed bishops. Maybe e5 here is very interesting. Also, bishop c5, queen g4. Okay, it's playable position. Anyway, change e5. Okay, queen b4 is a bad move. Okay, it looks active, but queen e7 was better because it's the same position, but with one extra tempo for black, because after queen b4, yeah, knight e2 is strong, and here white played c3, and I played queen e7 back. So now white have b4, a5 is logical, a3. Okay, I need to change my bishop on b7, of course, because it does not work.
Yeah, and this one is better probably.
Yes,
White
of
one is
course,
better.
Of course. So bishop e6, knight. Sorry.
No problem.
Knight
I think we
b4.
can go this way. Sorry. This way, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, knight d4. Take. Queen b7. My first idea was queen c7. But here white have rook c1 move, and next move c4. Okay, anyway, it's unpleasant position for black. First time I thought this is okay, but my pieces are too bad, too passive.
And they are disconnected somehow, yeah? Because they are not playing together.
Yeah, and white have advantage, of course. Queen b7, rook b1, queen e6. Okay, b5 is principal move, because after it white pawn structure became a bad, but it is very, very concrete move for play for initiative. So after take, knight g7. I have beautiful square on f4 for my knight, but it's not effective because after knight f4, white can play queen e3 or queen f3, and I must go back. So one row to knight to g7 and f5.
I think, yeah, it's working.
Of course, rook b8 is possible, but I have king h7 here. I not missed it. So, yeah, it's very interesting position. Rook b6 is not very natural as for me. Rook b7 maybe was better. And I plan to play rook h5. Yeah, rook h5. Because
with an idea of knight f5?
Knight f5, yeah,
okay.
and rook take on f5, because I don't like knight f5 immediately, because after take, queen e3, for example, and my king very weak here. Okay, maybe computer says that's okay, but for human it is very unpleasant position for black. After rook b6, no, okay, I understand the idea. Yeah, if I play rook h5, white can play knight c6. And now my queen is a catch on c7, c8, because after queen c7, for example, white can play queen b5, will idea rook b7. So I need to active my queen immediately, and I play queen c5. I think it is normal move. Queen f3. Queen f3. Yeah, I played rook f8. Very defensible move, but maybe I should take on f3 immediately. It is interesting also, and I calculate a line check, check, and maybe black is okay here. Okay, white have initiative and attack on king's side, but I have very strong pawn on a5, and maybe...
Yeah, this is a passer, yeah, so
yeah,
it might be a queen.
again, maybe it's a quiet position. But okay, I played rook f8, rook b8, take on f3. Okay, and here queen f6 is finished, yes. Yeah.
Why is that finished? Could you please
it's
describe?
Yeah, very unpleasant. But okay, maybe knight e8. So, but it's not beautiful, of course. Done. Okay, I didn't see it. But after take, knight c6, queen c5 is very strong. Maybe only move. And here rook b7. Rook b7, knight f5, and here Anish fought a very long time. Spent all his time and find great idea. Knight e7 check. Yeah, I didn't see it. I calculate just knight d4, and I thought I will win after rook h5. Yeah, no.
It looks like very logical move, yeah?
Yeah.
Activate your rook.
Yeah. I thought it is winning already, but okay, computer says acquire. But it's a very big change of position, yes, about evolution. So I thought it is great position for me. But okay, Anish find the tactic, move knight e7, very beautiful. And of course, my first idea was to take. And I thought maybe Anish forgot about knight c8 defense move, but really white have queen f6, and here I didn't see how to hold it because I don't have a time for active my rook. After take, I don't have rook f5.
Yeah, rook e8.
Check, yes. Oops, sorry.
No problem.
Again.
Sorry.
Yes, and here, of course, knight g6 is a mistake. Okay, Anish says me after the game he start to play for win again. But if white want a draw, after knight f5, take f5 and queen f4 logical, and I think it will be a draw too soon because black king too weak. So knight g6, very beautiful, yes, but
Just a sec. Yeah.
but I find the move
Queen c6, yeah?
queen c6 here, yes. Of course, black can't take on g6 because after check. But okay, computer says it's a quail, but I thought I thought it's losing already. But yeah, after rook f8, white have just draw. Okay, but it looks very dangerous for black. I didn't really calculate it because I didn't have a time. So, and I played queen c6. After rook f7, white position is absolutely bad without counterplay, but maybe one chance was rook s7, only chance, because here I didn't see how to win immediately. Okay, maybe first of all after queen b6 white have rook d7, yeah, very important move, and maybe rook e8, but after take queen f4, okay. I prefer black position, but white have some ideas about my king. So, and after rook f7, take, queen h5 is
Yeah,
only move.
it was
Sorry, yes, it's
yeah, this way.
and okay, take on c3, and it's lucky for me that I will take all pawns will checks. So, and another important moment, let white don't have knight g6 here because I will give a check, king h2 and queen h6, change the queens,
Passer
and
is winning,
yeah, my pawn will go. So knight f7, and of course white didn't have a draw anyway because I have knight g7 everywhere.
Sure.
Without here. So knight f7, queen e1 check, king h2, queen f2. Okay. So after queen h8 check, take king f8 and knight e7. Well, absolutely winning. And after knight g5, yeah, I take on e5, will check. And important moment, let I have a
Tactics.
small tactics, yes. Maybe it's winning will queens too, but who knows? White have practical chances. But after queen h1, it is absolutely winning. I'm not sure about my realization, but advantage is too big here. It's not easy to make a draw.
It looks
Okay,
like it was okay.
It's final, yes.
Yeah. Well, very good game. So you're going to play the final against Richard Rapport. How do you feel before the final?
No, my feel is very good, of course, but I'm a little bit tired. But okay, now its emotions are great. It is what I want in the tournament. Yes, really fight and feel great.
Well, so my final question for today: how are you going to prepare for the final?
To final.
Yeah.
First of all, today I will go to walking. I will meet my family. They will arrive today at evening. No, okay, and good sleep.
Well, thank you very much. Our guest was Grandmaster Dmitry Andreikin, who just won his game against Grandmaster Giri and advanced to the final. So good luck and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.